we just witnessed a technological breakthrough. A projector worked in the first trial when you move between computers. I think you know that that's much harder than VR, my friends. So, welcome everyone. Very happy to be here. Thank you, Deepti, for the very generous compliments. But in fact, we are more than happy to be the host, and I'll talk about who are we in a second. But really, this event would not happen without the Thai organization, and specifically Deepti, who has with so much talent always gets everybody together and forcing all of us to actually do this at the same do this in the same time in the same place. So thank you very much. And I wanted, I know a little bit about what's going to happen today, and I spoke with the talented panel members that will be here later today. So I know that we're going to speak a lot about AR, VR, and other buzzwords that are relevant. So I wanted to take the time and to give you a little bit of a wider understanding about who we are, what part of Google, why are we doing this, what type of things are interesting for us. I'll talk about AR, VR, but I'll try also to place it within a certain context, a context that we see as relevant on our side of the house, and hopefully that will be a good segue to the rest of the day. So, Launchpad is our startup program. It's a global program that Google is running all over the world, and we have local teams all over the world, including here in the United States, that are working with the local communities, with the local ecosystems, and help startups and ecosystems be successful. A few words about myself. I originally started my career in IT, so did everything in IT engineering up to a CIO, and then I went very strongly into the cloud computing type of era. Worked for Amazon Web Services for 3 years, was involved with a couple of startups and VCs, and then came to work for Google, initially with the cloud team, but then moved to here, to this place. And this place is actually developer relations. And if you think about it, as part of developer relations at Google, there is a challenge that we face, that we need to make sense of. And the challenge is, first of all, who are we, right? What angle, how can we help, how can we connect, how we can generate value? And I'm specifically talking about the startup point of view. For us, be an enabler part of the ecosystem, beyond any technology, beyond any adoption, beyond any engineering of Android or any SDK, to be an enabler part of the ecosystem, to be able to generate value for startups in order to help them be successful is our mission, is our goal. Now, I know that you may have heard this goal from many other aspects of the ecosystem, right? Different companies, different potentially VCs. So let me tell you just a little bit about how we found what's the best way to generate value. So looking at our mission, we would like to drive startup success. And if you want to create success, if you want to create value, then you ask yourself, what do startups need, right? What do they need? And I think that they need many things. But one thing that they need can be categorized to the 360 degrees of starting, building, growing, maintaining a company. Because startup is, after all, a company. And you can think about many aspects. You can think about marketing, growth, product, go-to-market, engineering, UI, UX. All of these things are the components of succeeding. If I have the best AR and VR technologies in the world, light years beyond anyone else, would that be necessarily a crucial part of my success? So let me give you that perspective. In fact, we work with thousands of startups sometimes every quarter, every few months, and with leading partners such as TIE. And we ask simple questions when we mentor startups, right? Because our focus is help startups via mentoring. And in many cases, we can talk about marketing strategies, about growth, about UI, UX, but what's the pain that you are solving? Just, we are looking to optimize machine learning. I understand, but what's the pain that you are solving? Who is the subject of this pain, aka your customer, right? What solution do you think that subject or this customer would want to use to solve for this pain, right? That's the third question. And I may I offer another question. The fourth question is, what proof do you have that everything you just said is correct? Or at least in most of cases. Now that may be called market validation. And when you think about market validation, sometimes picking up the phone and talking to 20 people. That's everything behind it. That's all behind it in many cases, right? Now, we know, and I think most of you know, that even well-funded startups, and not necessarily from emerging markets, but also from the leading places in the United States, leading startup ecosystems, would not necessarily have a good answer to this question. And if they did have a good answer, it wasn't revalidated every now and then, because the cheese is moving, right? And if I need to tell you the secret behind mentoring, then that's the secret. We do work with leading industry leaders, both from Google and, just like you, leading industry leading mentors that are specialized in marketing or in growth or in product. But the truth is that behind everything, you have so many entrepreneurs that are well educated, and they actually know a lot about the market and about the solution. But there's so much white noise that they need to handle, so many interrupts, so many changing factors, that sometimes prioritizing and understanding what's the biggest task and what to focus on is your main task as mentors, is our task as mentors and working with mentors. And if I needed to summarize, who are we, why are we doing this, and what's our philosophy, that would be kind of the high-level explanation. Now, taking this forward, I would say that we try to frame everything I've just said into activities, patterns. One of the things we've learned all over the world is that we do look at startups from different factors. For example, you have a pre-product market fit or early stage type of startups, and you have a startup that already found the match, proved it, and actually start working with its own product with the market. These are not the same startups. It's not the same needs, right? Post-product market fit startups would see technology as much more relevant, because they actually not only need this, but they need to scale it, right? The word scale is actually very relevant, beyond a buzzword in that case. Early stage startups still trying to figure out what's the right focus and what's the right engagement, and how to build the product, and how to prove, and how to focus, and how to get the initial funds. So we need to be very attentive in building these programs. So all over the world, what you will see that we have a number of layers of programs that are kind of targeted at this type of companies. We call this the Launchpad Build, the Launchpad Scale, the Launchpad Start, and just in a high level, I can tell you that we framed a different type of activities that we usually do with partners. Why? Because we found out that partners are the best ones to find the startups, to connect to them, to nurture them, to run and build value for the long term. We have certain values that we want to inject to this type of processes. For example, we got knowledge, we got experience, we got a lot of value, methodologies, knowledge that we would like to share. Second, we don't want just to share. For example, if you look at technology, then the big value in technology, it's the context, right? The context. Because when I'll give you a quick story from 2 years ago. 2 years ago, as you remember, smart watches were the big thing, right? I don't have a smart watch. I mean, I have many, but it's in the cabinet. So, and we wanted to speak to startups, not to push anything. We wanted to make them aware of what Android watch is, Android Wear. And if you go to startups and you talk to them about the technology, in many cases they don't have the time. There are so many technologies, there are so many things. It's all important, it's all interesting, but you don't have the time. You need to focus. So, running a trial on this, we came to them and said, you know what? We want to talk to you about Android Wear, but not in terms of, hey, how to write an app. Because, you know, they're all intelligent people. They can go to the Google tech pages and just read. You don't need me or anyone else for my team for that. But when you come to a founder, a tech or non-tech, and you're telling him, look, you know what? Why a smartwatch is interesting? Because for one aspect, you get closer to the eyes of the customer. We are also focused in writing notification systems and try to float and to get the attention of the user within all the apps and notification of the smartphone. But you get that sometimes even closer to the eyes of the customer because that's the nature of the watch. That's context. And that was interesting for some of them, or for a lot of them, to understand what's the context, what's the design aspects, how do you potentially use that to integrate, what's the efforts, and then you can talk about code, lines of code and technology as part of the story. This is to us what developer relations is. We want to create awareness, we want to create knowledge, understanding, context, talk about the case, the use case from different aspects, from the design, from the technology, from the product, and then it's up to the founders to take it from here and to make a decision. And any decision is okay if we've done our job in terms of connecting it to the context. That's another point I wanted to make. Any questions so far? Please.
What's your breakdown in your programs? You know, differentiate you from other incubators, take equity and stuff?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So we don't take equity in neither of our programs. This is one of the ground rules that we operate. And when we work with partners and with accelerators or with startups, what we do is we try to integrate to what these partners are doing and inject our programs, our methodologies, our mentor ecosystems, our connection to the product teams, and our knowledge of the subject matter. But for us, working with the startups and helping them and generate value can happen in a 1 hour program or in a couple of days program. It depends on the case. It doesn't matter. As long as we create value, and if we create value and the partnership with the certain accelerator or institution is the right one and there's alignment between what we all trying to do, then we can help the partner hopefully do better. And this is for us also one of our biggest goals, to help the ecosystem, because a single key value is a startup, right? A single key value is a partner, accelerator, institution, but a community. But if you take everything and you zoom out a little bit, if we have any influence, if we can use it to lift up the ecosystem, then I think that would be the ultimate idea. Yes.
The Launchpad website lists a lot of regions across the world, but
Correct.
the US. So what is the footprint here?
Yeah. So usually we are, as I said, we are very agile and type of focused teams. We have here in the United States, most of our team is either here. Some are in the East Coast. Depends on the case, but we work with partners because this is our way to scale and to maximize this. Now, in terms of different programs. Currently, we have a couple of type of programs. One is different private type of activities that we do with specific partners. So this is, for example, an open event, but that was worked on with Ty, and that's not the first one. It's a real pleasure working with Ty, and we hope for many more in the future. We have a lot of private type of activities that we do with a certain type of cohorts of startups that certain partners brings. In addition, we have the Accelerator Program. And the Accelerator Program is actually a very specific program that works with specific origin countries. India is one of them, by the way. There is currently 2 cohorts every year. That's a bit different program than usual because at this program, startups apply directly to us. So we do talk to different VCs and accelerator to increase the awareness, but startups needs to apply directly to us. The type of startups that are the Google Launchpad Accelerator is designed for are later stage startups, so usually post product market fit. These are startups that are in the growth stage. So these are startups that are already out there, product, market, executing, successful in many cases, growing, and that's where we want to get in and help them grow, help them cross this very crucial bottleneck of, okay, we are now a company, product, market, success, initial success, but now we need to make it fast, big, and successful. And the startups that are being chosen currently, it was about 30 startups per cohort. They are being flown to here for 2 weeks boot camp. The last one was about 3 weeks ago. It was complete craziness for the entire 2 weeks. Tons of so everything I told you so far is happening there, but in a very condensed way, in a very high quality, in a very way that tied in terms of the methodologies, program, mentors, materials to these growth stage startups. They coming here from Mexico, Brazil, India, Indonesia, other type of companies. They're coming here for 2 weeks. And after the 2 weeks, they're going back to their origin countries, while our teams in these countries continue to work with them for 6 months. Again, in some cases, we even, in this case, there is also a certain funds involved, but equity is not taken in any of our, that's not why we're here. That's the Accelerator. I talked about the different programs that we're doing in the US globally. We have also community programs. For example, the Google Developer Groups, the GDGs, that are being run by my colleague here in the US and all over the world. These groups are technology projects, technology groups being ran by community leaders, not by us, but we support it. And for example, if you want to learn more about anything from AI to Chrome, there are certain groups that are focused. I think that only in the US we have few dozens of chapters of these groups, and you can find them all over the world. And that's GGGs. Now, another program that actually was announced 2 weeks ago, and we are working now to launch it in reality, and it's a matter of hopefully a few weeks, and we already started talking about it, is the Studio. So we announced that we are starting a new program that takes everything I've just said about our methodologies, and you can find a lot of similarities, right? We just try to build the packages that will fit different founders, different companies, different products. But the studio will be focused for now at AI and machine learning. The idea is to, again, work with partners to identify the startups. The startup will apply directly, and they will be involved in program that will run that for a few days that will be very focused at AI and machine learning. And when I'm saying AI and machine learning, is absolutely not necessarily only the technology itself, but the productization and the design and everything that is involving this. It doesn't mean that the product needs to be AI, but it needs to be involving enough AI technologies so we can help doing this. As you know, AI and machine learning is becoming more and more and more substantial as we go. It's still in the beginning stages of commercialization, but it's already changing the world in many cases, and we feel that our ability to help and to share what we have is beyond just another technology, but it's more fundamental for the next years to come. Yes.
Will they get access to AutoML early? That stuff
To what?
Really, AutoML, the stuff that you have that's auto building models better than some of your engineers. That stuff, the research project you guys hosted has been very shots fired in the AI machine learning community.
So if you're asking about access, so I'll tell you just a little bit about cloud. And I'm avoiding, if you saw, I have slides about everything, but I'm avoiding it. It seems, from your eyes, it seems like we are communicating, so I think that none of us needs slides right now. So I'll just talk to you about the Google Cloud in 2 sentences, and that's it. The Google Cloud idea, there are many ideas there, but the main idea behind the Google Cloud is that we take not only the knowledge that we accumulated over the last 20 years, but also the internal products. A lot of our internal products, services that were built for internal usage, that you have been using it through Gmail or other Google Photos and other type of end user products, but we are now externalizing these products as Google Cloud Services, APIs, SDKs. So I have a nice slide that I usually show, that you can see actually a lot of internal products that we used for many years now being used. One of them is the TensorFlow engine. So TensorFlow is not just a machine learning product that we got out. That is the engine that we have been using and internally for many, many years and working on and building it. So the fact that is now not only available to you, but it was open sourced. So think about it. The main machine learning and AI from Google, the real engine that we're using internally, is not only out there as a service, but it's open source. You can download it, change it, pair the open source type of licenses, compile it, and do whatever you want from it. Or you can use it as an API on our cloud. This is being developed every day, including different applications. So for us, let's talk a little bit about AR and VR, after all. But here's the reason that I told you all about it. I told you all about it, not only to give you perspective, but because when I'm talking about VR and AR, and you'll hear much more specific things from in the other talks today, for us, VR and AR are just part of the components in this circle, right? When you think about technologies and you have a venture, you have a startup, then especially in bleeding edge type of thinking, so VR, we have Daydream, in AR we have Tango, and I think I'll leave a little bit of details to the panel later, so I won't get too deep because we have a chance to speak about it there. Then you, as a founder, you always tell yourself, look, I'm revolutionizing X, Y, Z in AR. I'm disruptive X, Y, Z V in augmented reality. But what does it mean? It means that you need to be the best in everything. It means that you need to put your very limited resources and time is the most expensive things, right? I think in many cases in life. Do you need to use it to build something that is even better in there? So when I'm thinking about Google, I'm thinking about the fact that we are specialized in technologies that are frameworks, that are fundamental type of technologies that are in many cases built for the end customers, for example, Google Photos. But behind it, the developer side of it is built for you to build your own products for your own customers. So look at many parts of Google Cloud. Look at Firebase, and please Google it if you haven't heard about it. Look at AR, VR type of Daydream and Tango. Tango has very nice applications, and you have demos, and you can get the development kit and run very nice things out of the box. And you know what? Maybe in certain parts of Tango, you can build something that is fundamentally better in that part. But what we want to try to help you is to give you the platform that is good enough and always, of course, emerging and being improved, good enough for you to build your own products, that you can leave the invent the wheel type of things in terms of technology and be focused inventing the wheel for solving the pain of your customers, because that's the only thing that will make you successful in most cases, right? If you don't focus at your customers and in the very specific pain that you're solving, which you are the one that needs to do it, we won't be able to do that, right? And you leave the rest as much as possible, it's not always possible, to frameworks that are meant for it, even if it's not perfect and even if you need to make some sacrifices, if you can do it, that's where usually your best chance to focus at your customer and to succeed. That's not easy to any of us. Definitely people that came from technical background and can feel the solution and can feel the server and can feel that, you know, we can create something better. But that's the art of, you know, priorities. And for us, we are striving to provide better and better frameworks, but for us, the developer frameworks like AR and VR that I just mentioned are meant to enable you to build your own product. That's the most important part of it, not the demo or the YouTube movies, the clips that you saw that are doing cool things of it. That's just a demo application for you to be inspired. Yes, please, there was a question there. Oh, no, got it. The question was, I guess that you asked that if startups that are using our, that are coming to our programs, do they must use our technologies? Absolutely not. That's in many cases, there are many events that we do that we don't even necessarily talk about Google technologies, and there are some programs that we talk about Google technologies, and there are some mixed products, but it's up to you. It's up to us to create awareness. It exists. Who knows how many API, SDKs, platforms, frameworks Google has? I have no idea. I'm just asking. Maybe you know. So what we want to do is to pick the ones that are in many cases more relevant to certain groups or more relevant right now, tell you the story, create awareness, give you different perspectives, and you need to take it from there. No obligations and not even close to it. No, it's the only obligation is for us to create value. That's our obligation. Please. So I think that we are more or less there. Should I take any other question or? Yes, I'll be hanging around, and I'll just finish up with the story of this space, right? So when we were running, these programs actually didn't start in the US. They started in London and Tel Aviv and other parts. And we found out that in some cases where it's very hectic and growing type of neighborhoods like this one, we opened this space exactly for it, to reduce the amount of logistics that we have around making these interactions, to try to give some resources to our partners that are doing great work with building their ecosystems, and use this space for 24/7 connect the ecosystems together like we're doing here. So where else than in the Silicon Valley we would have such a space, but we have this in other places. This is not an obligation for us to run things here. We, in many cases, run it in the partners' premises, just like with Ty. But this is a place that is very busy day in and day out in running this type of programs. And with that, we'll see you later, and thank you very much.